Now, despite international pressures on Israel and Hamas to agree to a ceasefire, IDF and Israeli authorities maintaining that Hamas started this war, but Israel will end it. That is to say that Israel will not stop until Hamas learns its lesson. But what exactly does that mean? Here to discuss, international relations expert at Jerusalem Institute for Strategic Studies and former head of the Foreign Relations Directorate to the National Security Council in the Prime Minister's office, Micky Aharonson. Micky, thanks so much for being with us. When will it be enough? What is Israel's end game in Gaza? Because we're hearing, for example, from Major General Aaron Haliva, who says that if he had to say something, 5 years of quiet minimum would be successful. Is that our metric, quiet?
I don't remember 5 years of quiet. There was constant shelling of the south. It was never an existential threat to the state of Israel. But the south is part of Israel. So I can't say there was quiet. What I think is that it has to be, the decision to stop has to be unilateral. First of all, because if an agreement to stop is reached through the United Nations Security Council, as some international players have been suggesting, we don't know what the outcome will be. Because a decision, according to the United Nations Security Council, is something that is negotiated. And there is bargaining going on between the US, between Russia, China, and we are not sure that our interests will be preserved completely. Another option is to reach a decision to demilitarize Gaza. But who would enforce it? Who can enforce demilitarizing Gaza? Hamas. We don't trust Hamas. We can't trust Hamas to keep its promises. We remember the agreement that was reached, the understanding that was reached after Operation Protective Edge. Part of the agreement was that they will stop smuggling weapons and into Gaza, and they will not rebuild military infrastructure. And this was in return for Israel agreeing to assist, to accept civilian infrastructure rebuild. And they did not keep their word. I don't believe them. I don't think we can trust them to reach an agreement.
So again, the question comes back to Israel and how far Israel plans to go right now to end this conflict. Energy Minister Yuval Steinitz from the Likud, for example, he's saying that he prefers a unilateral ceasefire, as you mentioned, over a deal with Hamas. But he added that disarming Hamas is the goal and that a temporary takeover of Gaza might actually even be necessary to achieve that. Do you agree?
Yes and no. Yes, it has to be unilateral. No, I don't believe in going into Gaza. I don't believe we can disarm Hamas. I think it's going to be a long war of attrition. We have to unilaterally stop. And every single time Hamas breaches the ceasefire, every single time we have to hit back. And we have to initiate. We also have to initiate an effort to weaken Hamas. But to tell you that I'm willing to send soldiers, our people, into Gaza, and then what? Take responsibility for 2 million Gazans, for their well-being and their welfare? No, thank you. I'm not sure. I don't think it's a solution. What I'm confident is we should not negotiate with them. We should not try and reach an agreement. We should unilaterally stop once the list of targets in Gaza is fulfilled, is reached, and we've exhausted the efforts.
All right. Now, Aviram Shaul, he's the brother of fallen soldier Oron Shaul, whose body was taken by Hamas after Tzuk Eitan in 2014. Among the many voices, again calling on Israel to return Hadar Golden, Aviram Mengistu, Hisham al-Sayed, and Oron Shaul from Hamas before this fighting is done. Is there any chance of that happening? And do you know if it's even on the agenda?
Well, I know that intense efforts have been going on for the last few years. You know, Aaron, as opposed to your previous questions, this one is really difficult because it's heartbreaking, and everybody wants to see the sea soldiers and the people that are held there brought back to Israel. However, I think the only thing we should negotiate is humanitarian relief in return for our people. And then, again, we agree only for humanitarian acts, nothing beyond, no other agreement with Hamas. Hamas should be treated as an enemy and crushed every time it raises its head.
All right, Micky Aharonson, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.